Hey everyone, welcome to the episode 2 of PowerShell series. In the episode 1, we have seen the basics of PowerShell, like what problem statement it is solving and how to configure it. Just go through the video if you haven't seen already. So once you have the setup and configuration completed, now it's time to go through the applications. And so what are the launching options, right? So the PowerShell, you can launch from the Copilot Studio Kit model-driven app, which is there from the beginning of Copilot Studio Kit. And in the last release, there have been two code apps introduced. One is that admin Copilot Studio Kit for admins, Copilot Studio Kit for makers. So you, based on the persona, for example, if you are opening the PowerShell from model-driven app, it automatically knows based on your security role, and it loads either admin, PowerShell admin or PowerShell maker person automatically. But you can also directly open a maker Copilot Studio Kit for makers for maker persona and admins app for admin persona. Okay, so for this video, I'll be demonstrating using these two code apps. Okay, so let's go to the environment. So now I'm on the environment, and so I see these two code apps, and let me first take you to the admins code app. Okay, and if you're opening this for the first time, right, it would prompt you for a consent of the connectors. Just go ahead and prompt it. Otherwise, to access the PowerShell under the governance tab, you see the PowerShell link. Okay, and because there were no requests logged by the maker, right? So there are no requests found, the message. And I want to quickly go through a few important things. Then I'll take you to the maker persona. So I'm on the PowerShell admin. You can see the label. It denotes you're on the admin persona. You logged in as an admin persona. And let's go to the settings. And the settings is a quick access a control where you can configure a few things. So one is that let's go to the configure connectors. Okay, so what is this page, right? I mean, if you remember or if you recollect what we discussed in the first video, that I asked you to run two cloud flows. So the first cloud flow is sync connectors, and the second cloud flow was sync connector action. So those two cloud flows, they are scheduled cloud flows. They run every day. But to get started with the PowerShell, right, those two cloud flows needs to run at least once. So that's what we did in the last video. And those two cloud flows, they went and populated the records in the PowerShell connectors and PowerShell connector actions table. And along with that, the key point I mentioned there, right, by default, we only enable the publisher, the Microsoft publisher connectors, and rest all the connectors, we just make them as unavailable or blocked for makers. So yeah, that's what it is. And in case if you want to enable anything as an administrator capacity, so you can come here and just select that, or you can bulk select that. You can say unblock or block. Okay. And the otherwise, yeah, if you want to search anything, for example, let's go to let's search anything with MCP. Yeah, so these are all the MCP servers, or let's go with the Microsoft publisher. Actually, this is like a the global search. It searches based on the publisher name or all these things, so you can try with it. Okay, and the other thing is that you can also see the actions, and yeah, these are all the actions from the auto seller connector. And if you want to block any of the actions, right, you can do the same using this block or unblock. Okay, yeah, you should see like three connectors were connector actions were blocked, and if you want to block the connector altogether, you can also do the same. Okay, yeah, this is about the connector configurations, which means that it gives like a granular control to the administrators that they can block or unblock any point of time, or they can even block or unblock the actions at the connector level. And the next thing is question configurations. So I'll be skipping this for now, because I'll create a detailed another video because yeah, this is a nice optional concept as an administrator. If you want to capture any questions, right, you can do that. Okay, yeah, it's like a as an admin, you configure the questions, and automatically they render on the at the maker level. Yeah, so I'll cover in detail in upcoming videos, but I'll be skipping it now. And the next thing is notification settings. So notification settings, by default, this will be blank. I went and put my name here, which means that yeah, and one more important thing, that for notifications, right, we are using server-side synchronization concept. So you need to enable a mailbox, and you need to test that mailbox. All these things you need to do. And again, this is optional. For example, if you don't want any notifications to be sent out, right, either you can leave this as blank or you can just set it as enable notifications, so you can turn it off. Okay. The same thing with admin distribution list, that if you have any distribution list dedicated for administrators, you can configure here. By doing that, whenever any maker submit any request, right, the notification would be sent out to the distribution list. And the next thing is the PowerShell app URL. This is for a deep link. For example, as a maker, whenever an admin approve or reject, an email would send out, and obviously in the email you will have a link to that request. And for that you need to, yeah, this is how you do, just configure, yeah, copy paste this. I think that's how the logic would take the URL and form the deep link, yeah, when the notification sends out. Okay, so for now I'm just pausing this admin persona walkthrough, and then let me switch to a maker persona and create a request, and then I'll come back to the admin persona for approval. Okay. And again, right, so how do you distinguish an user as a maker or admin? It's using the security role that you can give. If you want a user to act as a maker, you go and give the user as CSK maker security role, or CSK administrator for administrator persona. And yeah, if the user is having system administrator role by default, the user get access to the both apps. Okay, so that is one important to keep in mind, that the security role needs to be provided to be able to access the maker app or the maker persona or admin persona. Okay, so let me switch to the maker. Okay, so now admin, I quickly give a walkthrough that how you can configure that connectors, block, unblock the connectors, and also notification settings. Now let's go to the, let's act as a maker. Okay, yeah, as a maker, right, so there are no requests logged so far. Let me go ahead and create a new request. And again, right, why we are doing, or what we are doing, is that as a maker, the example is that as a maker, maybe my demo is coming up and I need a access to one of the WorkIQ MCP connector and the actions and all these things. So so for that, I can come here and log a request. Okay, so let's go ahead and log a request. Okay, so the request logging, right, it's a 4-step process, and there are a simple but important two concepts. One is the service tree, and one is that environment container. Okay, and what is the service tree, right? So the service tree, think of it as your team or a project group where you are working currently, and what is a container? Environment container, right? It's like a group of environments where you would need this connector, that MCP connector, where you would want access to. And the service tree is basically, by configuring the service tree, your administrator would exactly know that which team you belongs to or which department you belong to, and who are all the owners, all this information. So that's why while creating a request, we mandate to have this information. This is, for example, in my case, I'll just say that yeah, the service tree like that, we belong to Microsoft Cape. So for dev purposes. Okay, and the next thing is that we are mandating at least one team member to be added besides you. So anyways, because you are the one who is creating the service tree, you would be treated as an owner, and there is at least one team member needs to be added. Why? Because when this request is going on, and your administrator needs some information, think about like a global organization, right, where there is a 24/7 presence, and maybe you belongs to one time zone, and then but the information is required provided 24/7. So you can add a backup, or if you're going vacation, right, somebody else would answer if you're not available. So that's why at least one team member is required to create a service tree. So I'm coming here, I'm adding one of the users as my team member. I can give alias and say add. Okay, so let me go ahead and save and continue. Yeah, so now we finished the service tree configuration. Now we are in the container. And as I briefly mentioned, the environment container, right? So it's like a one or more environments where you would want a particular connector to be granted access on. And the reason, see the benefit of creating the container, right? You can use it for a future reference. For example, imagine that there are a list of environments where you or your team is actively working, and then you foresee any new connector requests, right, in future. You can go ahead and create a container, and then when you are creating a new policy request, right, you can reuse that container. Yeah, that's the purpose of it, the container. And again, if you see, right, you're not seeing all the environments. As I mentioned, right, I'm on my personal developer tenant, and so I have like one default and 3 developer environments. And if you see that the developer environments are not showing up here, this is by design because we don't show the environments of type personal. It has to be either sandbox, default, or production type environments, or even the teams environments, teams type environments also would be shown here. Yeah, it's detailed, it's documented here. You can go through the details. Yeah, but for now, let me go ahead and select this environment. Um, okay, let me give it a description. Yeah, I'm just calling it as dev EC, dev environment container. Okay, so I'll just replay what we're trying to do here. I'm a maker. I want to have access to one of the MCP connector on this set of environment. So the first step is that I have to define like which team I belong to. By defining the service tree, I provided all the details. And next, the container is something that I grouped my environments and where I can reuse for my future requests. Okay, so now I provided all the required information as part of the step 1, and let's move to the step 2. Okay, so now the step 2, right, is the maker persona. This is how it looks like a maker experience. And if I go to, yeah, by default, all the connectors would be shown here. And I cannot select the connectors which are already blocked by admin. Okay, so now let's go to available. Okay, so now here, right, I just command, let's select some connectors. Maybe let me go with, for now, I'll go with randomly. I'll select this Asana connector and also Amazon SQS, right? And in these connectors, right, maybe I don't want all the actions. So probably I only want like a get user task by ID. Okay, only these 2 actions I would need. Similarly with Amazon SQS, right? Maybe I would only want, yeah, something like this. Okay, so I selected 2 connectors, and also out of that I went granular and I chosen the actions. Okay, so similarly, let me also maybe I would want to build some custom connectors because that connector is not available. So yeah, let me go ahead and provide the endpoints. Yeah, anyway, this step is optional, custom connector patterns, but I'm just trying to explain all the available features with examples. Yeah, I mean, if you don't want the custom connector patterns, right, you can safely ignore and move to the next step. Okay, but otherwise, for example, if I want to have api.weather.com, okay, this endpoint needs to be enabled in that environment, so I can configure the details here. So I can add multiple patterns. Okay, yeah, that's it. So I selected 2 environments and also I granularly selected a few actions. Yeah, I'm good. And of course, you have all the filters and everything you can play with, or you can filter the data connectors what exactly you want. Let's go ahead and say next. Yeah. So this is a little confirmation that it tells you that these are the 2 connectors you have selected, and out of that, these 3 actions you could want them to be blocked, and the patterns you selected 1 pattern. Okay, yeah, and the next thing is the business justification. You can tell that need this for next week sales demo with Contessa Corp. Okay, and yeah, you can also choose file and upload a file. Okay, so I went in and uploaded a document. These are like supporting document. These are optional. If you want, you can provide. Otherwise, you can also, yeah, you have a nice preview feature of the uploaded document. Okay, let's proceed next. Okay, so now this is summary page, basically that as a maker, it lists all the things you have chosen. So for example, I only, in the Asana, right, I only want these 2 actions, and the rest of the 10 actions, I would want them to be blocked. And for Amazon SQS, right, I would want only 1 and rest of them to be blocked. And this is a pattern, and I can go to the details. This is my justification, and this is the document. On collaboration, right? Maybe if there is another team member who is also want to get notifications on this, right? On this particular request, I can provide the details. Okay, so yeah, let me add the same user. Okay, all right. I have all the information. Let me go ahead and submit. Okay, so now you see, right, the request has been submitted, and I'm back to the home page. So here I have few options. So for example, if I accidentally entered some wrong data, I can go ahead and say withdraw, or I can clone this and create a new the request. I have all these options. Yeah, and yeah, that's about the maker. And of course, you have a managed service tree, all these things that yeah, I kind of explained what is a service tree. Yeah, that's about it. And let's switch to the admin. Okay, so maker, I have submitted this. Let's switch to admin. Okay, so now I'm back to the admin app, and let me refresh. Okay, yeah, so instantly I see that the request submitted by the maker. I can come here and I can see the information, right? The maker has been submitted this information. Okay, and also I can see the document, preview the document, and also I can start the comments that um, yeah, I can start asking the more information. But before that, there's a assign to me concept. It is basically if you have a group of administrators, right, and uh, if you want to actively work on this particular request, you can assign this to yourself so that other administrators would know that that you are primarily working on this request. Okay, and one important thing that, right, it is telling you that what happens when you assign to yourself, and the second important thing, this is very important, that you would also require this Power Platform Administrator role assigned to you in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. Okay, because we are trying to automate the DLP policy creation and all this stuff, right? So yeah, this role is required. Okay, so now the Power Platform Administrator role is required at least. How you can check that, right? So currently, if you go to that Microsoft Admin Center, open the user, and here you can grant the user. And because I'm the global administrator, right? So by default, I'm having that the Power Platform Administrator. Otherwise, you can come here and look for the Power Platform Administrator role and grant that. Okay, so that is something it is required to move forward. Okay, yeah, sorry. So I'm here. I'm just saying that, okay, because I'm a global administrator, I'm a valid user to proceed. Okay, so I just assign that to myself. Now you see that I have approve or reject all these buttons here, and maybe if I want to ask the end user that can you provide more details? Okay, so this is like a communication back and forth. As a maker, right, if I go, I should see that in the comments, and yeah, I can. Yeah, so hope you are understanding that I'm switching between makers and admins persona back to back. Okay. Yeah, so that's how that information can be exchanged back and forth by the admin and maker. So let's say if everything looks fine, let me go ahead and approve it. Okay, so now the approve writer, there's a two-step process because um, um, yeah, so it's called like a pre-flight check. So it will make administrator aware that what happens when this approval happens, because it's a brand new request. Uh, it's a brand new request, right? A new policy request gets created. So that's what it is being told, conveyed to the administrator. Imagine that it is a second or third request, and also then there'll be an adjustment happens with the policy request. Okay, for example, that let's say a week back for the same environment, uh, uh, there is this work IQ MCP request has been requested, so that policy request approved, and now you're approving, and now a maker requested for the same environment, maybe a SharePoint connector, right? So then what happens? A new DLP policy created, and this set of environments, right, would be moved from the previous request to the current request. Yeah. So all this impact kind of analysis would happen, and it would be shown to the administrator that admin would know what happens. And also, there's one interesting thing I forgot to show. As an administrator, right? So if I want to see if whether this environment, if it is part of any of the previous existing DLP policy. So I have this check DLP membership. I can select this. Okay, and if you see, right, I was playing with this thing, and there were already this connector. There was this environment already added into this policy. Now, when I approve this, so that gets considered, and the request would be granted on that. So I'll show you that. So let me say looks good, approving. Okay, I'm going and clicking on confirm approve. Okay, yeah, if you see the request approved, DLP policy created, and the custom connector URL and patterns will be applied shortly. So what does this mean? So at this point, the request have been created, the policy request, and the actions and the patterns, right, that would be applied shortly. Yeah, you keep refreshing it. Okay, so there you go. I just refreshed, and yeah, the request has been completed. Okay, so now, yeah, you can see the DLP policy here. So let me click on this request. Okay, so now the policy have been created. Now, if I go to the connectors, If you remember, like there were two connectors we have requested. One is that Asana and Amazon SQS, and even in the Asana, I believe that only two connectors actions I made the request. Yep, you see this, right? Get task by ID, get user by ID, and rest of all are blocked. And same with Amazon SQS. Okay, so only one action allowed because that is what requested. And again, this api.weather.com maker requested for this pattern, so that has been added. And finally, coming to the environments, right? This is the environment the policy is part of. Okay. Now, what happens, right? An email notification would send back to the maker stating that, okay, hey, your request has been approved, and then immediately the maker is good to start using it. Okay, yeah, that's a high level. Just to summarize, again, a maker went ahead and submitted the request for a couple of connectors, and again, gradually the actions, all these things, and maker admin went ahead and approved the request. And immediately that the policy, the DLP policy, have been created behind the scenes, and with all the audit trail and all this information. And if I see the activity, and that's the important thing. If you see. Okay, because if you remember before the approval, before I click on the submission, right, I showed you that the membership of DLP, which means this default environment, right, MSFT default was part of a previous previous policy. Now by approving this, what happens? This has been moved to the new policy with all the requests, requested connectors. Yeah, and yeah, this is like a nice audit trail, activity trail you can see, and the notifications also. These are all the emails that would send out to the maker and between back and forth. Okay, yeah, if you see, right, the email goes to both. Yeah, and because for this example that I'm playing myself as a maker and administrator, and whereas this user is my co-owner, so that's why that email has been sent out to both owner and co-owner. Okay, yeah, so yeah, I really I request you all to go and test this and provide your valuable feedback. And yeah, we hope this PowerShell would be of help for governance in your organizations. Thank you.